What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream of Lou Reviews. While some may approach the subject with an unquestioning belief, I'm here to encourage skepticism and a rational exploration of the unknown. We'll dive deep into the claims, separate fact from fiction, and sift through the evidence to get to the truth. We'll try our best to get there. Our mission is to challenge the conventional wisdom and to ask tough questions, and also shed light on the mysteries that continue to captivate our collective imagination. Welcome everyone to the show. If you haven't already, like, share, and subscribe. I'll remind you again halfway through the show, because I'm good like that. Blaster X, Fifi Barbora, at Calabria, Daniel Hurd, Jimmy Tchaikovsky, Simon Fly, Dave B, Edge S. Welcome, guys. Special shout out to Matthew, Reader Syndicate, Matt Riot, as we all know him around these parts. Happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday. Jason Parker. Me, Pedio Tumba. Welcome. Someone said something really cool up here. Daniel Hurd. Glad that there is still rational-minded people out there. I once looked up these people. Glad I saw the light. I once looked up to these people. I'm glad I saw the light. I'm glad you saw the light too. And sometimes it takes a while. I was just talking about this with actually my buddy Ben, who will be here on Wednesday morning. And Matt Riot, by the way, if you want to get up real early on Wednesday morning with us and do a Mystery Science Theater 3000 kind of show for the show, a show on a show that is going to be the UFO hearings, which we'll talk about today. Who'll be there? What's going on? How serious is this? Should people take this as a big deal? The UFO community thinks it's a big deal. I'm gonna tell you why I don't think it's a big deal and why the last one wasn't a big deal. As a matter of fact, it seems like they're getting to be lesser and lesser of a bigger deal. So yeah, we're gonna talk about it all today. All right. By the way, hello to everyone. If I haven't said hello, Steve Long, what's shaking? Alex G, yo, 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 yo. Hello to everyone. Okay, so let's switch to our good old Lou reviews. Our good old Lou reviews studio here. And let's talk. Let's talk about some stuff. What's going on? What's happening? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Alejandro Rojas shared his own podcast announcement here. Mason Grothman announced joint hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomenon. And so, God, I hate how Twitter does this, man. So here we have our witnesses that'll be speaking at this event. Dr. Tim Gallaudet. I wish I had like an applause button for these. Mr. Luis Elizondo. Oh, here's what I'll do. I'll do 80s, 90s movie trailer voice guy. Mason Grothman announced joint hearing on Yep, I can't read. I ruined it. Mason Grothman announced joint hearing on unidentified anomalous phenomena. Witnesses: Dr. Tim Gallaudet, Mr. Luis Elizondo, Mr. Michael Gold, and Mr. Michael Schellenberger. So it sounds like a terrible 80s movie. So this is funny. All the info you need. I'm glad that somebody's using this little cutout here. It's wonderful. So funny. Okay. So that's who's going to be at the hearing, right? Okay, great. Now, there was a great little thing here that our buddy Stephen Greenstreet put out. And he writes, members of Congress, mostly Republicans, will hold their second annual UFO hearing next week. 4, quote, witnesses will testify. Tim Gallaudet, Lou Elizondo, Mike Gold, and Michael Schellenberger. So Tim Gallaudet. Let's read the resume here. A short, very short part of the resume, but part of the resume nonetheless. Tim Gallaudet, who was a Navy, God, what was he? A naval meteorologist, essentially. He weather reports for the Navy. He has never had access to any UFOs, UAPs, USOs. He's never been in a situation where he was in the Navy and experienced UFO, UAP, USO. He has never had any, access to a program or knowledge of where the program is or people who've worked with the program. all he's got is his belief system that he comes to the table with, and we've discussed this belief system ad nauseum on this show. And he comes with secondhand stories from people who are his friends and colleagues. So, former Navy official who claims his house is haunted by evil spirits and that his daughter is a psychic medium who talks to dead people, and that he filmed tiny ghost UFOs flying around his psychic daughter's bedroom. That's first witness number one. Witness number two, Lou Elizondo, who again was a big part of this show and the growth of this show at the beginning of it. We had his dad on. We saw what happened. I'm not going to rehash it. If you want to know, there are whole videos dedicated. 3, almost 4-hour presentations, because it's a long story. It's a long relationship. And it takes a while to encapsulate everything that happened. But if you want to check that out, please go check out the Lou Reviews library. We've got former Pentagon official whose dubious UFO claims have been debunked as false for years, currently on a for-profit tour promoting and selling his new UFO book, which is riddled with errors and falsehoods, and claims he wants to use his psychic powers to turn into an angel. Right? You can't make that shit up. It writes itself. This is also a guy who has just been busted for promoting a window reflection of a roof chandelier as a UFO mothership in front of a U.S. What are they? Oh my gosh, it's been a long weekend. What are those buildings that we put in other countries? Holy shit. Anyway, a huge UFO mothership where other ships are coming out of it, and it's a threat to national security, not only here in our country, but abroad. And then within 10 minutes of that picture and that story being put online, it was debunked in a heartbeat. As a matter of fact, it was reverse Googled, imaged, searched and found to be a picture from a bunch of hoaxers from Third Phase of Moon. It is complete bogus bullshit. And this is witness number 2 going in front of members of Congress. Witness number 3, Mike Gold, an aerospace executive and NASA consultant who worked 13 years for Robert Bigelow, the former owner of Skinwalker Ranch. So again, we talk about this tree that has the sprouts, roots, and other little leaves and other little branches. And at the core of this tree is Hal Puthoff, Kit Green, Eric Davis, the Christopher Mellons, the Gary Nolans, the Bob Bigelows, the Robert Bigelows, okay? And this is just a branch that sticks out with a guy named Mike Gold, right? And Mike Gold, if I'm not mistaken, was part of that NASA presentation and was part of that panel that came to the conclusion that there is no smoking gun evidence that proves that our Earth is being visited by an extraterrestrial civilization, species, presence, whatever you want to label it as. So it's going to be interesting to see what he says, which I have a feeling will be nothing other than maybe some stories that either he is bringing a belief system to, just like everyone else that has been a witness or a whistleblower to this story. Once we dig into these guys, we find, they're bringing a belief system. They're bringing their experience. They're bringing their best friend's story or a coworker's story or something they think they saw into this discussion. And so it's going to be interesting to see what he says. But so far, out of the four, he's the most interesting one, but not that interesting. Especially considering he worked for Bob Bigelow for 13 years. But I'm curious, so he was a NASA consultant and aerospace executive. So I'm wondering if he just worked on these aerospace Bigelow aspect of it and how much he worked on the Skinwalker aspect of it. I'm curious to know. I don't know too much about Mike Gold, but again, if Mike Gold was bringing something significant to the table, I think the room that the hearing would be in would be way bigger. I think the press would be a lot more excited. You'd hear a lot more buzz. Nobody's talking about this. Everybody's still talking about the election. This is getting drowned out by just sheer election coverage. Primarily just half of the country going, what the fuck just happened? You know, and they're just trying to look for closure and some sort of understanding as to, this didn't go the way I thought it would. So the last person we have here, Michael Schellenberger, who we just saw on Rogan, who promoted Chinese lanterns as UFOs on the largest podcast on the planet and brings his independent journalistic viewpoints as some sort of credible thing. He's written for multiple stories about UFOs and aliens. That's what he's done, right? And there's also, I've heard some rumors, and we'll get to these rumors here in a second, but first I want to hear this little clip here from Mike Gold, and this is the NASA presentation that I was telling you guys about. So we'll listen to this clip, but we'll go. There's, I think, a rumor that we might be getting a Corbell maybe even into this hearing, and if that's the case, if say Corbell replaces Schellenberger, the circus, it's just going to be an absolute circus. Excuse me. Okay, so let's listen to this clip from November 13th, 2023, or excuse me, June hearing, 13th. Well, it's a 2023. Okay, no, this is okay. This is from like 2 years ago, or a year ago at least. So yeah, let's listen to this clip. He's talking about the November 13th hearing is coming up, and this guy will be at it. And here he is calling for a permanent UFO office in 2023. So yeah, so this was last year. All right, here we go.
Were there radar hits? Were there other sightings? Unless we can look at this from a holistic perspective, it's very difficult to draw conclusions. And relative to stigma, and I appreciate the reports that our colleagues gave, I think there's plenty of stigma right here in this building, and I'm sure, Dan, you've suffered from it at times. And I just want to commend Administrator, although he's always be Senator Nelson to me, for his leadership and candidly courage in getting NASA to tackle this issue. And as we look at what Sean had articulated, that what he wants NASA to do, as we look at the recommendations for reporting and how we need to collate that reporting, I'm very concerned that this could be effectively done on an ad hoc basis. And I've been a part of far too many panels and studies that end up sitting on the shelf. I don't want this to be one of those exercises. And we can discuss this further, but I would call for and recommend a permanent office within NASA to support this activity, albeit likely a modest one, but to collate this information, collate that data, to archive the information, and act as the open, forward-facing counterpart to Sean and AARO. I think then we could continue and actually accomplish the reporting, the stigma issues that have been raised, and we could do so in a relatively affordable fashion. Because again, I don't want all of our work to end up being in vain.
So there you go. And I don't think that's unreasonable if NASA wants to take whatever budget it has and put a little bit to bringing all of this data together for NASA to independently look at and Arrow to independently look at. Great. Awesome. I have no issues with that at all. You're not talking about billions of dollars. You're not talking about spending money on independent entities such as Americans for Safe Aerospace, and we'll get to them in a little bit. Advocating for tax dollars and billions or whatever millions to be spent in organizations like that. This is reasonable. We've already got the Arrow office, which is the whole purpose of the office is to eventually not need the office, right? To get where the information that is collected that can be shared is easily shared, and an explanation is given quickly or at least sufficiently to a point where it satisfies not only the intelligence community, where no sensitive information gets leaked or published, and it also satisfies the public in that, this light in the sky that everybody saw in Texas the other day, right? That thousands witnessed, in the Southwest, and we'll talk about this here in a little bit. We know what it is. We know it's not an alien spaceship breaking up in our atmosphere. We know that. So to have two scientifically independent think tanks look at this, fine. Go for it. But if you're also with that, especially if you're a believer who's like, yeah, that's reasonable. Of course I want this guy. Looking at the UFO information, and by the way, out of the whole panel, like, this is one of the more extreme views. Everyone here is basically, they talked about the parallax effect. They talked about the videos that have been put out and how they're looking at them and how none of them are providing the data that they need to definitively say one way or the other. But they're all for, hey, let's look at the data. Like, let's see. Okay, if you guys think they're aliens, let's take another look at it. But, I think at their cores, they all believe, like, no, this is not aliens. Like, most of them would rather be spending time on other stuff. But either way, if it adds more clarity and if it allows for more people to think clearly and not get stuck in rabbit holes of bad information, I'm for spending the tax dollars to looking at this topic. If it's going to provide good information that rules out the mathematically ruled out theory. It's like let's whatever information we do put out has to be so clear and clearly defined. Okay, like, hey, this is not alien, and here is why. And here's how we prove it. It's the same thing with the Kona Blue stuff. Like, beat the conspiracy theorists to the punch. Hit them first with facts, and then they can't turn. It's a lot more difficult to turn those facts into a full-blown conspiracy theory. Because again, like, we use Kona Blue as an example. That leaks, and it's a nightmare for rationality to rue the day there. But if Arrow puts it out first like they did, and say, hey, this is the Kona Blue program. This was a program written by the same guys who did the Skinwalker Ranch studies with Bigelow Aerospace and the $22 million OSAT program. They wrote this proposal, and it was just that. a proposal. It was denied. It was never funded. Nobody ever studied any of the things that were suggested in this Kona Blue research program. And so because now the government puts it out and says, here it is, this is just a proposal, there's nothing to see here, which there isn't. They can't then turn around and use it as some conspiracy theory. Or they try, but they can't. It just doesn't catch as much fire as, say, it's like an MH370 conspiracy theory. Because with that, there's no official person coming out and going, no, that's stupid. And here's why. The United States does not have technology that teleports only 97% of the plane. Like, we don't teleport. We don't have that technology. Here's why. I think partly because why? Like, why would the government have to do that? It's so fucking stupid. But it's a huge conspiracy theory because it's like even the experts that have come out and debunked it thoroughly they couldn't beat this to the punch before it grew out of control. There was no authoritative thing being like, look, here's why that's bullshit. And it would be nice if the government actually came out and said, yeah, all of those videos that claim to be satellite images and videos taken from certain US, assets, military assets, like they're fake. It would be nice if somebody of authority came out and said that, because then I think that would go a long way into destroying the career of an Ashton Forbes, which, by the way, if you think Ashton Forbes is the real deal, both in podcasts and in the description below here on the YouTube channel is a link to all of the stuff that debunks all of the people that have debunked everything that Ashton Forbes has put out there, including his free energy device. Anyway, went off on a tangent. Bottom line is, like, I think it's good to have two different people looking at it, just as long as it's not an organization like Bigelow Aerospace or Americans for Safe Aerospace or, the Galileo Project or the Nanu Project or Gary Nolan's whatever he calls his project. Like, that's where I want to keep tax dollars away from. But to a government organization like NASA that already exists, that already has a budget, they want to take a piece of their own budget and look at it. Cool, go for it. Do whatever you guys want with your budget. That's your budget. Go for it. All right. So let's get on to our next clip. This is Tim Gallaudet, another one of our witnesses here of at the congressional hearing. Stephen Greenstreet posted with this clip. Tim Gallaudet will testify to Congress about UFOs next week. Gallaudet claims he has a video of a tiny ghost UFOs from the other side flying around his psychic daughter's bedroom. He should provide this evidence to Congress and the public. I agree. Like these guys, this guy was on a ghost hunting show. Not this guy, but his wife and his kids, with his knowledge and I'm sure his permission to put his children on screen. I'm sure he had an agreement with his wife to be like, yeah, that's okay with me. Go for it, babe. There is a heavy belief system. And that's why we talk about it. It is funny. It's funny. And I'm going to laugh at it. I'm just going to fucking laugh at it every time, because that's where I always naturally go, is what is funny about this. But at its core, like it shows what this guy is coming to Congress with. This is the baggage that Congress is listening, parts of Congress. And I also don't want to paint a brush on Congress, because I think the Congress members that are showing up to this hearing are the fringe members of Congress. They're first term members of Congress, most of them. All of them actually do not have access to classified materials because they don't sit on any committees or subcommittees that would give them access to classified arsenal within the U.S. military or foreign adversaries, for that matter. For example, Marco Rubio and Christy Gillibrand sit on those committees and subcommittees where they get to see our best tech. They get to see what our enemies are up to. So, because they're the oversight on the spending, they're the oversight on what to do in certain situations. So, this is, just keep that in mind when we get to Wednesday. Like, most of these Congress people are fringe members of Congress, and they really don't know shit. And most of their information that they're getting is the same information that you and I have access to. But they're getting it from Jeremy Corbell. They're getting it from Schellenberger. They're getting it from Chris Mellon and Lou Elizondo and Tim Gallaudet and Ryan Graves and all of these people that we've talked about ad nauseum, and all of the flaws and all of the belief systems that all of these people come to the table with. Dave Grush, Lou Elizondo. Like, the list goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So let's listen to Mr. Gallaudet.
Now, we were all grown up in traditional kind of religion with, I think, myself as an Episcopalian, and my wife maybe raised the same. Catholicism influenced
maybe raised the same. Maybe? You don't know? I'm pretty sure he knows. I just like, why are you being so vague with that? It's just so weird, man.
At some point in our lives, my youngest daughter had real serious behavioral issues. And to just sum it all up, she is like many of these medium that you see. She can see spirits. She saw them all the time. There are people that have this ability to tap into whatever we want to call it, the other side, where people go when they die, whatever that is, the energy that people leave behind. There's a lot of ways to explain it, but it was real and real to us. I mean, she had real experiences. It was affecting her. A really interesting example was, when she was really having a lot of these experiences, we had this like little camera, basically a video recorder, and we were in her room one time, which things were happening, and we just filmed it, I think. And when we looked at the tape again, as people have seen in these experiences, there were just orbs flying all around this video. I mean, seriously, many, and it was so active. And these are all things that wow, we just couldn't believe ourselves. And my wife and I,
these are all things that we couldn't believe ourselves. But I'm talking to you about it right now because we totally believed it ourselves. It's insane. It really is so stupid. We just had all of these orbs that all of these people describe that they have in all of these videos. All of these orbs that are just speckles of dust that you think are ghost orbs.
Went on a journey. We were raised in very traditional religious households.
Steven's right. Like, show us the video. If you took a video of it, show it. Show it. What's the deal, man? Just show the video. I don't think we'll get it. By the way, guys, if you want to call in, here is oh, wait, did that have an error? Can you guys shows you guys can here, anyway, I'll put it back in there. There we go. Just in case you guys can't click on it. If you guys want to call in, if you want to share your opinion on the show, we have our StreamYard up. You're more than welcome to call in. Let's see here. Let me do something here real quick. I want to pin that. I just want to pin that thing to the top of the chat. But I got to do this thing. There we go. Let me see. Yeah, I gotta change the link now over here, so then I can bring your chats up now. All right, give me 1 second here, guys. All right. So anyway, yeah, if you want to call in, there's a link. Thank you very much. I think the cat videos I find are great. They're just everybody's. Some folks are like, you're just taking other people's cat videos. Listen, man, it's a conglomeration of the videos I find that I think are fucking adorable, and I just put them up. You know, some are great. Some people love, some people don't. It's okay. All right, so let's get on to our next thing. So Chris Bartell
we were all
here.
grown up in.
Yep, we already heard this. Chris Bartell said, to my knowledge, Mr. Gold has no active parts with OSAP. He was always referred to as just Bigelow's lawyer, so I'm curious what he will present at the hearing. The ones primarily responsible for the UFO investigations were well let go in 2010. They were all let go in 2010. The main focus for ALSAP was the ranch. The point of impact for the entire conversations is James Lukatsky's visit to the ranch in 2007, where he didn't have a UFO experience, but more of a paranormal experience, which was our focus, investigating that phenomenon. In my opinion, Lukatsky should be the one testifying. This is all based on, quote, need to know. And we were led to believe that he is in the know. In reality, I don't believe this topic goes forward until we have whistleblowers from the Department of Energy. I agree with that. With active Q clearances, employees from directly from Area 51 or Dugway Proving Grounds. With that said, I still am hoping something positive will result from the hearings. I agree. I've always said, like, if the UFO alien toys do exist, they're in the Department of Energy. For sure. Without a doubt. But I don't think they're alien toys. I think they're things like what we saw Rolls-Royce come out with. And we talked about this, and I love referencing it and going back to it. You know, the portable engine built by Rolls-Royce. You know, that is technology that was developed by our military. And that has been sitting in our aircraft carriers, in our submarines, in our ships for the last 2 decades. They are portable power devices, free energy devices that power the most powerful military on the planet. And Chris Bartell, who worked at Area 51 and worked for Bigelow, is telling you that Michael Gold had no active parts with the OSAP program. So what I said before, you know, going back to what I said before was, I wonder if he had anything to do with the OSAP program. My guess is no. Here we got it. Chris Bartell saying, no, he had nothing to do with that. He was mostly referred to as just Bigelow's lawyer. And I do agree that if there is anyone, that the people who should be at this hearing should be James Lukatsky, should be Eric Davis, should be Hal Puthoff. Those are the guys that should be at this hearing. And honestly, if they were, I'd be way more interested in it. I'm interested in it on Wednesday for the lols. Not for any like game-changing, world-changing information. I'm in it to laugh. Like, that's why we will be live streaming here Wednesday morning with my buddy Ben, and hopefully we'll have somebody calling in from the actual hearings who's going to be there doing a bunch of stuff. So hopefully we'll get a pre and post phone call from him telling us what the feel was live while they were there. So we'll have coverage of the UFO hearings. But if these UFO hearings had those 3 guys that I just named, Lukatsky, Puthoff, and Eric Davis, and you could even put Kit Green and Steve Justice in there. Like, if you had those guys testifying, it wouldn't just be for the lulz. It would be like, okay, let's listen to what these guys have to say. Even though most of them, and we've talked about most of these guys, again, coming into this stuff with belief systems. Hal Puthoff, for example, was a Scientologist, and he's got a whole bunch of other red flags in his past that we've talked about, again, ad nauseum before on this show. Even that, with that said, I would still be very much interested in listening to like a presentation from Steve Justice to Congress. I would be interested in listening to James Lukatsky give a presentation to Congress. So those are the guys that should be there, not the four jerkwads that are there this week. Like, who cares? Who cares? Like, I promise you, there is nothing world changing that they will say on Wednesday. It will be more just funny. And if it turns out that Jeremy Corbell is one of the guys that ends up coming to testify, holy shit, you will never hear the end of it from me. You could put that on my tombstone in one way or another. I'm not sure how that would fit or how it would work from a joke perspective. I haven't thought about it that far yet. But if Corbell shows up and testifies on Wednesday, could be the funniest moment in UFO history. Also, it could be maybe a moment where he slips up and puts himself in a position where, who knows, maybe he gets in some real trouble. Because again, like we've talked to Paranormal Chris on this show, we've talked to him in spaces, we've talked in DMs about how the information that Corbell's been putting out, it's a sources and methods thing that the Department of Defense, it might be very sensitive with. And I can tell you they're not happy that leaks from training, leaks of footage from training sessions do not please the Department of Defense. No matter how inconsequential you may think it is. Okay. Let's see here. Oh gosh, yeah. So there is all sorts of stuff happening right now with, again, just, okay, so let's talk about this here for a second. So on Netflix, there's a couple of George Knapp shows and doc, again, quote, I loosely use this term when it comes to UFO documentaries because it's so stupid. It's like doing a documentary on Santa Claus and trying to, but not the history of Santa Claus, but trying to find the real guy. You know, it's like, these aren't documentaries. These are fan fiction films at best. They're fantasy films. They are fantasy chasing films. They chase smoke. They're smoke chasing films. I don't know. I got to think about what kind of films these are, because they're not documentaries and they're not mockumentaries and they're not films. They are simply there to chase smoke in hopes of making money, and also in this veil of, oh, it's a documentary. This is based off a real thing. So there's a documentary on Netflix called The Manhattan Alien Abduction. Okay, so this is a following press release by several of the principals involved with the estate of Bud Hopkins, the main witness, Linda Napolitano, and UFO researcher Peter Robbins, who we've had on this show multiple times. And I got to tell you, I got to reach out to him again. I love that guy so much. And I remember some of his outgoing advice when I was really going through this stuff with Elizondo and stuff. He says everybody hits a wall, and he was right. Everyone hits a wall with this topic, and they've got to choose a way to go. And Peter believes in this topic. He believes in this stuff. But he's such a gentle soul. He's such a well-articulated person. I just love speaking with him. I think he's some of my favorite shows from the old UCR days were with Peter Robbins. Anyway, I don't want to go down a Peter Robbins thing, but just saying out loud, I'd love to talk to him again. So this is a press release from those people. New York, November 4th, 2024. Netflix's recent release, The Manhattan Alien Abduction, may be garnered many views, but the principals involved in the production of this claimed, quote, documentary have filed suit in the New York State Supreme Court this week for their duped participation as a result of the lies and bad faith of the behemoth online streaming channel and its producers. Promoted to be, quote, based upon a true story, little was further from the truth as rights holders from the contracting parties were blatantly lied and deceived to becoming involved in the spurious story orchestrated by Netflix and its associates. Using the deeply embittered, revenge-seeking ex-wife as a protagonist, the producers suggested it was a, quote, hoax and cast doubt and aspirations on the principals, both of who willingly participated in what they were told was to be a true account of the painstakingly researched and investigated book Witness by author Bud Hopkins. Hopkins, a distinguished artist and investigator of the UFO phenomenon, spent 5 years investigating the claims of Linda Napolitano, who has consistently maintained that she was abducted by aliens from her bedroom in Manhattan apartment in November of 1989. Assisted throughout by his longtime assistant, renowned ufologist Peter Robbins, Hopkins' investigation concluded that she was telling the truth, which had been corroborated by 22 separate eyewitness accounts as set out in Hopkins' best-selling book Witnessed, the true story of the Brooklyn Bridge UFO abduction. It was this book that informed the basis for this miniseries and which Netflix promoted as a true story, upon which Miss Napolitano and Mr. Robbins were told was to be the aim of the producers. While the pair were informed early on that Rainey had been interviewed for the series and supplied archival materials, the fact that she was also involved in the production of said series was intentionally, deliberately withheld from them, knowing neither would have agreed to participate had they been aware of the fact Rainey, a self-proclaimed expert or skeptic with zero background in the UFO studies other than her association with her ex-husband, colluded with the former filmmaker and producers in creating a narrative driven by innuendo and suggestion that disparages Miss Napolitano and Mr. Robbins. By their lies, the appearances they were compelled to assume, and the completely fabricated environments they were made into inhabit, along with the scripted dialogue. The estate of Bud Hopkins, Linda Napolitano, and Peter Robbins filed suit to seek redress and bad faith of the producers and Netflix, utilizing materials and papers apparently stolen from Mr. Bud Hopkins by the ex-wife without the consent and permission of the estate. Napolitano, Robbins, now forever associated with the false narrative, seek redress and damages to their character and reputation for this defamation and fraud perpetrated against them. The story is nothing more than a mockumentary based on the egregious lies and deceit of the producers. Netflix and all of those who deceived our clients by their false promises and phony presentation, distorting the truth, will be held accountable. Had our clients ever known the truth of what these producers at Netflix intended to do with their sensationalism and marketing ploys for ratings, they would have never participated. We are confident that the New York jury will agree, stated Robert J. Young, attorney of the plaintiffs. The court has issued an order to show cause why a preliminary injunction should not be issued to stop the presentation airing on Netflix. As a result, the deceitful content now to be heard before Judge Paul Allen gets on the Manhattan Supreme Court on December 5th, 2024 at 9 a.m. So Jeff Knox writes, so they're afraid of the documented facts. Pretty pathetic on Robbins and that liar Linda's part. She got exposed by her own words. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I think now I got to watch it because I haven't watched it. Now I kind of want to take a look at it because I think this is where Peter has his blind spot. He's got a belief system and that is the hill he will die on. And when somebody comes in that actually looks at what happened and the facts, they get upset. The believers get upset. Cordwainer Bird 99 writes, Bud Hopkins' ex-wife was absolutely correct. That stupid New York abduction case was the absolute fabrication from start to end. But Hopkins was also full of it on his whole research for abduction. He made his picked witnesses fit the narrative he wanted to push. That's true too. I'm gonna like both these comments, by the way. Bud obviously had a major crush on Linda, who is a bullshit artist. That I don't know. I can't say either way. I hope Netflix countersues for a massive amount of money. They deserve it. Yeah, I mean, damn, dude. I like Peter so much, dude. And the thing with Peter, like I just connected with him so much because we're both at our heart. We're New Yorkers. Like, I wasn't born in New York. I lived in New York for 7 years, and it's my favorite place on the whole planet. And Peter was right in the heart of it during the coolest part of it. And he's just got a soft spot in my heart. But I also know Peter has a massive blind spot, and his belief system is that blind spot. And so when you get good researchers come in and tear your narrative and your belief and your book and your friend's book and your friend's legacy down to the ground, and they make you guys kind of look like liars, not because you're liars, but maybe because you've just convinced yourself that this is the truth, and you decided to believe someone instead of actually gathering real evidence for it. 22 eyewitnesses. Wow, that sounds impressive on its surface. But again, if you get 22 witnesses to a car crash, you're going to get 22 different versions of what happened for that car crash. And so that's not evidence. You need more. You need more. It's just, yeah. Now I gotta just go back and watch it, because that's going to be interesting. I didn't know it was going to be a sort of deconstruction of what actually might have happened there. So this is another UFO show on Netflix that's going on right now. And this one, I think I have definitely not been able to bring myself to watch this one, only because I know it's just rehashed old bullshit. But George Knapp has a new show on Netflix, and it's called Investigation Alien. And it rehashes the silly myth that space aliens are murdering American cows. Once again, Knapp is peddling complete nonsense, and this is again Stephen Greenstreet who said that. I completely debunk cattle mutilations in my New York Post here, which he did, and I highly recommend. Actually, I'm going to share it with you guys because this was such a good piece. You know, the thing that all of the one thing that all of these cattle mutilations have in common. There's a link to the cattle mutilations, guys, if you guys want to check that out in the live chat. The one through link that all of them have is there was never a oh man, I can't. It's not coming out of my mouth today. But basically the after death analysis, where somebody comes in and does the after death analysis of what was the cause of death in the animal. They dissect the animal. They go through every inch of it and then come back with a report on exactly what happened. Someone in the chat's going to write it, and I'm going to thank you to the moon and back. But anyway, those things cost money, and they're very expensive to do, but they are a lot more definitive than some rancher and some cop or some FBI agent looking at it and going, oh my God, this must have been aliens. when there's no evidence of that whatsoever. I still, even when you wrote it, Bernie Dodge, I can't say it. Necropsy. I guess that's it. Necropsy. Yeah. Necropsy. It sounded wrong, but that's it. Necropsy. So yeah. None of that was done on these animals. And so you're just basically taking the word of Linda Moulton Howe and George Knapp, and they're not veterinarians, they're not experts, and even a veterinarian can't come to the conclusion of what the cause of death was. That can only be done, let's repeat it again, by necropsy. Necromancer, that's way better. Oh my god, I'd much rather say necromancer. Necropsy. Okay. But yeah, I mean, like, cattle mutilations, total bullshit, has been debunked. Okay, yeah, this is interesting here. So during the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies presentation, Tim Gallaudet gave a shout out to Lou Elizondo, Jay Stratton, and Chris Mellon, saying, quote, "I know them."
They were read into, not all of them.
I
want to make a comment about these three brave individuals, in addition to the hearing witnesses, Lou Elizondo, Jay Stratton, and Chris Mellon. They're, of course, all over the UFO internet. But I know them.
They're all over the UFO internet. What does that mean? I know them. I know them. Okay, go on.
And they, I come from the world they come from. I was in the Pentagon. I have access to many of the programs they were read into, not all of them. I want to make a comment.
Again, let's be 100% clear. Tim Gallaudet was not read into any UAP, USO, UFO, alien reverse engineering programs. He was not. And that's by his own admission. He's never seen a UFO. He's never seen a USO. He's never seen an alien. He's never seen an alien body. His daughter sees ghosts. But that's about as good as you're going to get. And here's Michelle Stratton's wife saying Tim is a good friend of theirs. So again, like, as much as I'd love to talk, and even Jay Stratton should be testifying in front of Congress. I'd love to see Jay Stratton testify in front of Congress. But again, like, it's still, like, who cares? Like, at some point, it's just like, again, it's just another person with a belief system coming in to testify. So you really got to take their testimony with a grain of salt. Okay, so here's what I wanted to tell you, or here's what I referenced earlier with this video from this last week. And so here's what Raw Alerts put out. Breaking: thousands of witnesses across the Southwest are reporting an unknown object breaking apart in the sky, creating a spectacular display. Currently, thousands of people across the Southwest, particularly in Oklahoma, Texas, are witnessing and reporting an unknown object dramatically breaking apart in the sky. This event has created a stunning display with fragments scattering across the sky and leaving a bright, glowing trail of debris visible for miles. Witnesses have described vibrant colors flashing overhead, leading some to speculate it could be a meteor or space debris, while others think it might be a UFO. Officials have yet to confirm the source, and the situation is still developing. Okay, so let's listen to this. Let's listen to the different clips. And there's a couple of interesting things that I love about this, and I'll give you my observations here in a moment.
I got it.
What the fuck is that? Dude, what the fuck is that?
What is that?
What the fuck is that?
Yo!
Wow, what the heck? What is it?
You talking about that? What is that? It's right here, dude.
That I don't know.
How cool is that?
Okay, so here's the first thing I noticed. It's 9 videos. 9. Filming, all of them are filming the exact same thing from different spots in the country. And it says thousands of people across the United Southwest were reporting this thing. Thousands were reporting, and we've got 9 videos of it. Okay, so that goes to show you, and I'm sure if you look at TikTok and other social media platforms, you could probably find even more videos of this thing, more angles, and more people going, holy shit, what the fuck? And this is another beautiful example of if there were UFOs in the sky every day, multiple times a day, all over the place, massive motherships and triangle-sized UFOs the size of football fields and fucking Tic Tacs flying everywhere, people would be recording them on their tiny little iPhones. You see how well those iPhones record? 9 pretty crystal clear videos of what's going on. Here's what I also love about these videos. There's no spooky music. There's no editing. It's raw video. You even get the audio and the awe of some of the people. And here's another common thread: is none of them. They were all like, "What is that?" Except for the very last video, who was just like, "How cool was that?" Because I'm pretty sure that person knew exactly what they were seeing. Whereas the other people in the video were like, what is that? What is that, Billy? Oh my God, is it UFO? You mean a thing breaking apart in the sky, going in a straight line very quickly? That's not making any right angle turns or stopping or flashing or coming right in front of you or, shining down a light or taking you up in the sky or ripping out the ass of a cow. Like, none of those things just happen and you don't know what it is. How doesn't somebody not look at that and go, holy shit, look at that. It's breaking, whatever it is, it's breaking apart in our atmosphere. Meteor. First thing, right? Some sort of satellite. Maybe a launch gone wrong. It's so dumb. It's like, if these things were happening at the rate that believers claim, we would have thousands and thousands of videos every single day. We wouldn't be able to keep up with the amount of UFO videos that people were submitting in. And that congressional hearing would be in the biggest room on the congressional house. It would be jam-packed with every fucking mainstream news outlet in the world. It would have a lot more important people than the 4 dickheads we're getting tomorrow answering questions for the American people on what the fuck is actually happening. Just a reminder, this is a picture of last year's hearing. Nobody gave a shit. Look how many empty seats are in this committee, in this hearing. Look how many lawmakers are actually sitting in chairs at this moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lawmakers, and you have 2 fucking people taking pictures in front of these witnesses. Yes, so what? The room was jam-packed with UFO idiots and mentally vulnerable adults and UFO peddlers. Yeah, jam-packed with dummies. But no lawmakers, no serious news, no serious journalists. Nobody gives a shit. And guess what? This hearing is going to be in an even smaller room with even less significant witnesses. This is not moving the ball forward for anyone. This one didn't move the ball forward for anyone. This, according to, this was just shared by Disclosure Memes, so this could be a edited image. But witnesses to testify at UFO hearing: Tim Gallaudet, Lou Elizondo, Michael Golden, Jeremy Corbell. I don't think this is real. Let me see. All right. Nobody's saying it's fake. Except, I don't know. This guy's laughing. Yeah, I don't know. I doubt this is happening. I think we would have heard something about it. But yeah, like, if Corbell does show up, dude, that will absolutely destroy any sort of credibility this thing had. Okay, we've got a couple more clips here. But let's talk about this here real quick. So yeah, this is the big article that all of the dummies are praising. Dummies like, let's just see what Dum, where'd he go? Jesse Michaels said about this fucking article. Where'd it go? I thought I had it here. I thought I had it here. Here it is. Okay, so Jesse Michael says, amazing new reporting by Chris Sharp. His new article covers the complex ecosystems of secrecy surrounding the crash retrievals and reverse engineering programs and their origins. Incredible revelations. One, the CIA's Weapons and Counterproliferation Mission Center, the WCPMC, collects all domain data from multiple agencies to assess non-human origins, categorizes them, the types of intelligence that controls them, and investigates their intentions. It was also the CIA's primary liaison to the UAPTF. Red flag! And it traces its lineage directly to the OSS efforts and the infamous Magenta craft recovered in Italy in 1933. I mean, right there, dude. If this fucking sentence, this paragraph, isn't just evidence enough that this is so fucking stupid. It's so stupid. Number 2, the study of recovered Magenta craft became closely integrated with Manhattan Project activities. In 1946, the Atomic Energy Commission worked with the Italian and German scientists at Wright Field to continue the research that initially began between Germany and Italy, reverse engineering the Magenta craft. This fucking asshole. Oh, he's so stupid. So stupid, Jesse Michaels. God, dude, it is infuriating how dumb you are when it comes to UFOs. Outside of UFOs, everybody says you're a smart guy, but even your friends are like, you're just special needs when it comes to UFOs, dude. Like, you are just hook, line, and sinker. He believes that the Nazis were reverse engineering UFO craft with Italians. Fucking dumb. It's so stupid. Number 3, the Central Intelligence Group later inherited the study of a magenta craft when the Foreign Intelligence Branch was transferred from the Manhattan Project to the CIG, Office of Special Operations, before being incorporated into the Nuclear Energy Group. SIG was also the primary agency involved studying the magenta craft after the OSS and before the CIA. OSS Chief William Donovan possessed intelligence about the magenta craft under the McGregor Project. Charles S. Cheston, Assistant Director of the OSS, informed the Chief of Research and Development Branch that the McGregor Project was transferred to the branch in June of 1944. This is all just so stupid. It's all so dumb. And this is, again, Christopher Sharp has been known to get things so ridiculously wrong. Wow. Jack Sarfati agrees. He agrees with this article. Just so stupid. Dude, yeah, bro. Look at this. Like, microfilm roll preserved by Donovan. And what does this say? Let's see the microfilm. There's nothing in here. Gable, number 817. Bring the Algiers everything salvaged from the 3 plants pertaining to Willie's work, in quotations. Transportation of the retired Italian admiral, 10/23/43. Arrival of the above admiral in the U.S. This is just, what is this, dude? There is nothing here. They're just connecting dots of one thing that loosely references Willie's work. This is so stupid. Wait, let me see the one more thing. Let me see what it said at the top of that. Oh my gosh. Microfilm roll 114, General Wild Bill Donovan's hastily created copy of OSS files documenting their activities in Italy and expatriation of Professor Carlo Colosi and certain materials in 1943. To work with James Conant in Vannevar Bush Manhattan Project. Is this magenta crash related? ? This is from 5 months ago. I mean, again, like these loosely, like nothing. There's nothing in this, man. It's so funny how many people pushed this new Chris Sharp bullshit. Well, it's not funny. It's actually kind of sad.
We're learning about UAP. I'm okay with it.
Let's listen to another Tim Gallaudet. Tim Gallaudet says the Department of Defense and the intelligence community have evidence of, quote, new nature of reality.
Let's not disclose the classified information technology-wise that we're learning about UAP. I'm okay with that. We don't want that to go to the American public or our adversaries. But the American public has a right to know the new nature of reality we know, and that the Defense Department and the intelligence community has realized and has evidence of. That's not fair to the American public or the global citizenry at large. So I think this is what has to come out. Let's not disclose the classified information technology-wise that we're learning about UAP. I'm okay with that. We don't want that to go to the American public or our adversaries. But the American public has a right to know the new nature of reality we know, and that the Defense Department and the intelligence community has realized and has evidence of. That's not fair to the American public. And
he has no clue. No clue what evidence that is, or if they even have it. It's just stories that he's heard. He has no direct knowledge of that. None.
Or the global citizenry at large. So I think this is what has to come out. Let's not disclose the classified information technology.
This is what has to come out. Okay. Well, since you know so much, go before Congress and tell us. Tell us everything you know, Tim Gallaudet. Tell us where the programs are, who runs them, how they're paid for, where they are physically. Go ahead. Tell us everything you know, all of the programs that you've been read into. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear what you got. I just can't wait. This is hilarious. Danny Sheehan wrote, "It is essential that we work together to uncover the truth that has been hidden from Congress and the American people. Thank you, Nancy Mason, Rep. Glenn Grotham, for holding this crucial UAP hearing and the witnesses for their upcoming testimony." UFO UAP disclosure rally. This is from the New Paradigm Institute. This is just fucking hilarious. Disclosure rally. You guys remember their last disclosure rally, right? That was in New York. Oh my God. That was fucking hilarious. Okay, so disclosure rally following the House oversight hearing announced by MUFON. Yay! And the New Paradigm Institute. It's a unified call for government transparency and disclose on UAP, the mutual... God damn it, all of these acronyms. A unified call for the government transparency on UAP by MUFON and the New Paradigm Institute announced an event set to start 30 minutes after the conclusion of the Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 UAP hearing. This hearing held jointly by the U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Accountability Subcommittees on Cybersecurity, Information Technology and Government Innovation and National Security, the Border and Foreign Affairs will feature key testimony on the topic of UAP. The UAP disclosure event will provide media representatives and the public an invaluable opportunity to hear directly from representatives of MUFON and the National Paradigm Institute, two of the most influential civilian organizations committed to advancing UAP disclosure and the need to provide continued support for congressional disclosure efforts. MUFON and NPI aim to increase public awareness and demand for accountability, urging the executive branch agencies to reveal information about non-human intelligence and technologies of unknown origins to Congress and the public. Danny Sheehan, chief counsel of the MPI, quote, "We thank Representatives Nancy Maith and Representative Glenn Grotham for holding this crucial hearing and the witnesses for their upcoming testimony. It is essential that we work together to uncover the truth that has been hiding from Congress and the American people." Wow. And Steve Bassett's going to be there. This is going to be awful. This is going to be so bad. I cannot wait to see the sad pictures that come out of this event. And how long is Stephen Bassett going to talk for? Jesus Christ. He'll go until the fucking world ends if you don't stop him. If you give that man a microphone in a crowd, holy shit. I feel sorry for anyone who's got to sit there and listen to him. That's just going to be awful, awful, awful entertainment. Okay, so here is, this is great. Simon Fly, who's watching. Thanks for this clip, sharing this clip. He writes, "Coulthard is delusional fantasist, grifting cretin, more nonsensical stories, no proof whatsoever, and on to the next nonsensical story. Only gullible fools buy into any of this, which is Coulthard's target audience. Zabel, another UFO guy who comes from the entertainment biz." Yeah, so, let's listen to this clip.
Me to sort of say one way or the other what Tim's going to reveal. I do know Tim knows quite a lot about underwater submerged, unknown submerged objects, which have basically attracted the attention of the US Navy. And he's very, very well informed from people on the inside, anecdotal stories that he's collected from people who...
Anecdotal stories from people he's collected. Not stories he had first hand witness account. They're stories from other people.
Essentially approached him as a highly honourable and very highly respected former senior naval officer. He's basically been approached by people who've told him extraordinary stories. I'm in touch with one of the people who has told him of an account. I won't name the guy because I'm still investigating his story, but
I'm sure
it
you
involves
are, Ross.
7 sailors on the flybridge of an aircraft carrier watching jets take off and land on the deck of the aircraft carrier. And unbeknownst to them, there's been a call to general quarters. Everybody's been told to go below. And as they look across, there's a cruiser-sized United States vessel in parallel with the aircraft carrier. And he sees a craft, all 7 of them see a craft materialize above this US warship. That is the length of that warship. It's a massive craft. And I'm in the process of checking that. I know this guy has approached Tim Gallaudet and basically offered him the same information. And I'm in the process of tracking down the other 7 colleagues of this guy who've all obviously retired from the Navy. And it's just one of a whole series of incidents that I've been told about where Navy vessels have actually had objects appear above or around them in extraordinary circumstances. And often the crew have been threatened or intimidated or told to shut the hell up about it. And I think it's time these issues were investigated because all too often, so many of these incidents come from below the water. They come from our ocean. And I think that's where Tim's important because he knows a hell of a lot about our oceans.
And this is great. Like Michael Huntington, what aircraft carrier, what ocean, what planetary hemisphere? Like none of those things are answered. None of those things are asked. Like those are great questions. Great fucking questions. It's so silly, man. And also like this story is not new. It's not a new story. So it's like, how long are you going to look into it? How long are you going to look into it? Tim Gallaudet's been talking for over a year now. Like, how long is it going to take you to track down these 7 people? It's such fucking nonsense. And there is something...
me to sort of say one way or the other what Tim's
let's
going to
talk about
review.
this here real quick. So Steve Long, who's, again, in the audience. I love that. I get to bookmark some of my audience. Retweets, but this was Ryan Graves put out a tweet saying, proud to see half of the participants in this upcoming November 13th are safe aerospace advisors. I'll be attending the hearing and looking forward to the truth. Yeah. Okay. Like the truth you guys brought to the last hearing, which was nothing. And again, I bet you are proud to see that half of the people attending the hearing are part of Americans for Safe Aerospace. So that way you could go back to the lawmakers' offices that you're buddies with and see, hey, you see, Americans for Safe Aerospace is doing a pretty good job at representing, America's best interests. And so what do you say? Let's get a couple $2 billion. Maybe we could get this program up and running, and we can take a look at this problem for you. And we report only to you. Fuck the American people. Even though we're going to use their tax dollars to give you guys all the answers. And when I say you guys, I mean the government. So yeah, he's super stoked that half of those idiots that are going there on Wednesday are part of his stupid Americans for Safe Aerospace initiative, which we've covered again ad nauseum. Please go look it up. Like, you want to show a show on Ryan Graves. We've talked about Ryan Graves and his, again, no firsthand knowledge. He's not a firsthand witness. He's got no access to any of these special access programs. All of his things are a personal belief system and stories that his colleagues have told him. I'm sorry, that's not fucking evidence. It's not evidence. It's sure as hell not good enough evidence for you to be lobbying lawmakers to get dollars to look at bullshit. but that's just me. There was this one last thing I wanted to talk about here. And it's just something that's just this right here. So, look, I'll just say this. I like Astral. I like the spaces that he holds. I enjoy some of the conversations that he has, but he's gotten to a point where he's either playing both sides of this, and he's doing the disclosure dance, as I like to call it. He'll publicly come out and say things like, "Oh, well, let's look at his account. Let's look at his account. Well, I don't want to misquote this thing." So let's check this out. It's just, the first fucking tweet. The first tweet I saw. You gotta love all the gatekeeping going on in the UFO community right now. #UFOX. All the gatekeeping. You work for these two guys right here, one of which who is the biggest gatekeeper on the planet when it comes to UFO information. He's got multiple sources that can reveal a craft so big it can't be moved. They had to build a building around it. And he is gatekeeping the knowledge of that information. For what? For who? Why? Like, you can't say, I gotta love all this gatekeeping. Oh, it's so annoying. And then in the next breath be like, new episode of Need to Know with Ross Coulthart and Bryce Zabel. Let's see here. It's like, dude, you have remote viewing sessions, and then in one breath you're questioning, like, I'm trying to see. I haven't bookmarked a whole bunch of things that you've said, but like here's an example. The leader of the disclosure movement, Chris Mellon, skipping testifying in possibly the most important UAP hearing ever to go. Okay, let me just reread this because there's no punctuation. The leader of the disclosure movement, Chris Mellon, skipping testifying in possibly the most important UAP hearing ever to go on vacation is wild. Not only is it wild, it's extremely disappointing and somewhat suspect. To go from that to the very next thing is the UFO new car feeling from enthusiasm to realism, or watching people stress the importance of testimony, urgency, and the need for credible voices, only to then avoid the chance to make their mark in an official UAP hearing is puzzling, to say the least. Like, you're questioning all of this stuff. This already feels like a half-ass UAP hearing. And then the very same day, stop by tonight for a live remote viewing and open discussion on UFOs and expectations for the rest of the year. Here's the target reveal. Here's, what does awakening mean to you, and how can we tell if we're on a path? Like, you've got all of these signs of bullshit. You've got all of these moments where you see, oh my God, why is this such bullshit? Why is this such bullshit? Why is this such bullshit? And then the very next thing you're promoting is bullshit. And bullshit people, gatekeeping, bullshit things. Getting you to work for them, probably for free. I would bet that Ross Coulthart and Bryce Zabel don't pay you to make promotions for them. I would bet they don't pay you for your time, that you volunteer that time. And it's just disappointing, dude. It's just disappointing. It's disappointing because it's like you're almost there, but then at the same time you're like, episode 58, the disclosure president. like God, I hate gatekeepers, but come watch these gatekeepers that I work for. I don't know. It's lame. It's lame. Like, I like you as a person. I think you're cool, but I think you're in this you're in this, you're at the crossroads that I always talk about. And you're taking the road that is the easiest traveled. You're taking the road that leans into the belief, that leans into the reality, that goes further down the rabbit hole, knowing that it's bullshit. And it's not too late. Like, it's never too late. You could always go back to the path. It's just harder. It's not a fun path, but it's the truth. And that's what you're going to have to reconcile. Do I want to actually give people truth and be honest, not only with my audience, but with yourself? Be honest with yourself. When you ask the question, does this make sense? I have a feeling you're going, nah, it doesn't. There's too many holes. These things aren't connecting as well as I thought. The people giving the testimony aren't as credible as I thought or enthusiastic as they should be. But I have a feeling I know what path you're going to take. And most take it because it's easier. It's more lucrative. It gets you 19,000 subs. You can't do remote viewing spaces when you know it's bullshit. It destroys everything that you've built here. And and I have a feeling you're going to hold on to it with all of your might. Because you've probably worked really hard to get here. And I get it. Nobody gets it more than me. But what you're peddling is absolute garbage. And you know it. That's the part that's frustrating. So, yep. That's all I really had today, guys. That's all I really had today. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please cover the Lou Elizondo lawyer Tom McMurdy. Yeah. At this point, like, I don't care. Like, I'm just waiting. At this point, I'm just waiting for actual, like, lawsuits to be given out or charges to be pressed, or it's just not news. It's just, at this point, it's just, I think people are sick and tired of talking about it. And you don't want to get them to that point, you know? I think Todd McMurdy following King Milkfart, it's not surprising. I mean, what does it mean? Who knows? Who cares? You know, I think it's pretty clear that everyone around Elizondo and everyone Elizondo follows and vice versa are pretty shitty people, in my opinion. Just pretty shitty people. So it doesn't shock me that shitty people follow other shitty people. No shocker there. So I hope that's enough coverage on that. Anyway, you guys, I appreciate all the support. Steve Long, Pinzer Lou, again, Matt Riot, Breeder Syndicate. Happy birthday, man. Enjoy that birthday. Enjoy the cake. Thank you, Drummer 3354. Thank you, Wise Monkey. Thank you, Deadbeat. Thank you, Simon Fly. You guys, this was a fun show. I'm not sure if I'm going to be around on Friday, but like I said, we'll definitely be here Wednesday morning. Do not miss that show. Hit the bell. I should promote that show. That's going to be a fun show. We're going to start live streaming, I believe, at 8 a.m., which is about a half hour before the hearings start, which is 11:30 East Coast. So we'll be here with my buddy Ben. We'll hopefully have some updates live from the hearing. So yeah, stay tuned. That's going to be a lot of fun. Because of that show, I'm not sure if we'll have a show on Friday, but we'll see. Who knows? Let's see what happens. Let's see what the fallout is from the non-important UAP hearings that are coming. Anyway, with that said, you guys, I appreciate all the love. Again, if you haven't, like, share, subscribe. Thank you so damn much for embarking on this journey of discovery together. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and thank you for subscribing to Lou Reviews and helping us raise the bar. We'll see you next time, y'all. See you on Wednesday morning. Peace out. Love ya.